Good morning, everyone. I believe everybody is here now. Good morning and welcome to this online hearing of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Ottawa under the Planning Act. This video conference is also live streaming on YouTube. With me are my fellow panel members, Jocelyn Chandler, Stephen Lewis, Terrence Otto, and Martin Vervoort. My name is Fabian Poulin, and I will be chairing this hearing today. The procedure for this hearing will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen are the applications we will hear today. For the sake of efficiency, the committee may deal with the agenda items in a different order. Committee members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear oral submissions from any interested parties. Notice regarding minor variance applications, notwithstanding pre-consultation with city staff, is the responsibility of the applicant to identify all required variances accurately on the application to one, add new variance or increase the extent of the variance requested. And it must be given in accordance with the Planning Act. And may require the application to be recirculated for the next hearing date at a cost to the applicant at the prescribed fee. If an applicant amends their plans with no impact to the variances or to reduce the variances requested, recirculation may not be required. As part of the statutory notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property and file a statutory declaration confirming the sign posting. This declaration must be on file today before we hear the application. Without it, I may have to adjourn the application or administer an oath if necessary. Can the coordinator confirm that we have received all the statutory declarations?
Mr. Chair, we have not received any statutory declarations today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be administering those to each applicant. The committee may ask for a brief presentation of the application, followed by questions from members and submissions from the public. Please address your comments to the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. The committee limits presentations to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at the chair's discretion. And before we begin, we generally have 2 items to address, one being the minutes of the last public hearing. We don't have any minutes to adopt, but I will ask members if they have any declaration of interest in the applications that are before us today or before an agenda of another committee panel.
Mr. Chair, I have a conflict in item number 10, Malik Lane.
Thank you. I don't see that there are any others. So we'll take that application and put it to the end then. All right. We will now hear applications scheduled for this hearing, and we'll deal firstly with all items that may be adjourned. Is there anyone present who wishes to request an adjournment of one of the applications scheduled for the hearing? I believe we have had notification of 4. First of all would be application number 4. And that application is having to do with 6086 Frontier Road. Mr. Shippen, are you available? Good morning, Mr. Shipman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
There has been a request from planning to have this application adjourned. Are you in agreement with that?
Mr. Chair, we'd like to be heard. I provided a revised sketch just yesterday in response to the planner's report, removing as much land from the severed lot as we feel is possible. So hopefully that will address planning's concerns.
Okay. Panel, I'd like to ask your approval to proceed with this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if Mr. Gordon wanted to speak to that.
Mr. Gordon, would you like to speak to this application being adjourned or not being adjourned?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we had a formal request to adjourn. We just had minor concerns with the lot configuration, but the revised sketch addressed those.
Okay. So then I guess we'll proceed with hearing this application. Thank you very much, Mr. Shipman.
Thank you.
And the next application that is up for adjournment is application number 9. And application number 9 deals with the property at 1675 Carsonby Road. Ms. Gail McKenzie, are you available? I see your name. Ms. McKenzie? Hello, Ms. McKenzie. I don't know whether you're muted or not. Doesn't seem that way. Oh, now you're unmute. Now you are muted.
There. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Now, there has been a request by planning to have your application so adjourned, and I believe you're in agreement with that.
Yes, I am.
Do you have a date that you'd like to have this item?
Yes, if we could adjourn it to July 6th, I feel that might be enough time should be enough time to get everything I need put together.
Okay. Mr. Harrigan, do you have any comments on that?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, we are agreeable to the July 6th adjournment date.
Okay. So I'd like to ask the panel to approve the adjournment of this application to July the 6th. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is adjourned, Ms. McKenzie, till July the 6th.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now the next item to be adjourned is item number 13. And just a moment. Item number 13 deals with 8423 Marionville Road. Mr. Darren McDonald, are you available? I see your name. You're muted, Mr. McDonald. You are still muted, sir.
How about now?
Oh, you're perfect. Now we can hear you. So
Awesome.
we have an adjournment request. And are you in agreement with that adjournment request, sir?
Yes, I need more time to prepare. Like to move it to May the 4th.
Okay. And I'd like to see, Mr. Gordon, are you in agreement with adjournment to May the 4th?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, as long as we have the materials 2 weeks in advance, then we're agreeable to that date.
So, Mr. McDonald, will you be able to prepare that documentation that planning needs?
What's the next meeting after that?
It's 2 weeks after that will be the 18th.
Okay, let's go with that one.
Okay, so May the 18th. Panel, are you in agreement with adjourning this application to May the 18th? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay. Your application has been adjourned, sir, to May the 18th. Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald. Okay, and I think there's one more. And that is having to do with application number 15 with dealing with 3016 Upper Dwyer Hill Road. And 15, Mr. Scott Murray, are you available, sir? Is that you on the phone?
Hello,
Is this
Hello?
Scott Murray? Good morning.
it is, sir, yes.
Now, sir, I understand that the planning would like to have this application adjourned, and are you in agreement with agreeing to adjourning this application?
Yes, we are.
And what date would you like to have this application adjourned to?
I guess the next hearing is in 2 weeks' time.
That's correct.
Maybe we better go to the one after that.
So May the 4th, sir?
Yes, I think that would do.
Okay. And I'd like to ask Sean Harrigan, do you have any comments about that, sir? Is that a reasonable timeline for you?
Thank you. Through Mr. Chair, we are agreeable to that adjournment request. We're simply asking that the applicant reduce the severed lot size for surplus farmers dwelling severance in half to be more in line with policy. So once they provide us with a revised sketch, we are happy to move ahead with it. So that
Okay.
would work for us for the adjournment date.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel, I'd like to ask you to approve the adjournment of this application to May the 4th. All those in favor, please raise your hands. May the 4th is the day for your application, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll move on
Goodbye.
to, thank you, goodbye. Now we'd like to move on to application number 1. And this application has to do with 3457 Roger Stevens Drive. And Mr. Heinz Blois, are you available, Mr. Blois? Mr. Blois, are you available? I don't see his name on. Oh, Patrick Donahue, are you representing yourself, sir? Good morning.
Hi, it's Patrick Donahue. I'm with Heinz Blows.
So you'll be representing this application, sir?
I'm part of it. It's my property that's being subdivided,
Okay.
and Heinz is with me here. So yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I need to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on the property. Can you take that oath today, sir?
Yes, I can.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing, as instructed, and was clearly visible and legible during that time. Do you swear?
I do.
Great. So I understand that planning and conservation partners don't have any issues with this application. There are 2 conditions for the application. Are you aware of those conditions, sir?
Yes.
And do you agree with those conditions?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to ask planning if they have any further comments to make. Stephen Kukkonen, are you available?
Good morning.
Good
Through you,
morning.
Mr. Chair, we do not have any additional comments on this application.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask our conservation partners if they have any additional comments to make concerning this application. Okay, from the silence, I don't think there is. So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved. Mr. Blois, Mr. Donahue, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I thought Member Chandler had her hand raised to make a comment.
Okay,
It was
Mrs.
just
Chandler.
it was just to note that the RVCA doesn't have anyone attending today, I expect, because they didn't have any comments on the applications. It's just resolved in from Mississippi Valley.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Chandler. Okay, your application is approved, sir. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to application number 2. This is having to do with 122 Reese. And Ms. Zander, are you available? Ms. Zander?
Good morning. Probably not the face you anticipated, but I'm here for Xander Plan today.
Thank you very much. I need to administer the oath concerning the sign posting on the property. Can you take that oath today?
I cannot, but Tim Dillon should be in attendance to take the oath.
Okay, Mr. Dillon, are you available? Mr. Dillon?
Mr. Dillon doesn't seem to be online. Mr. Chair,
Okay. Do you want to step this down, Ms. Van Horn, until you can reach your client? I need to administer the oath or I can't hear the application today.
Yeah, I understand, Mr. Chair. So,
Well, there's somebody on the phone, I see. Is this Mr. Dillon? You're muted, sir, if you're on the phone. Madam Coordinator, can you let the phone call know what button to push to be unmuted?
if you press star 6, oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll step this down, Ms. Van Horn. If you can get a hold of your client, and then we can administer the oath and we can proceed with the hearing.
Okay.
Let the coordinator know that you have your client on the line for us to proceed. Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to application number 3. This application has to do with 1164 Highcroft. Mr. Hume, are you available? Good morning, Mr. Hume.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
I would like to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on your property. Can you take that oath?
I can, Mr. Chair.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear and affirm, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hume. I note that Planning and Conservation Authority do not have any objections to this application, and there are no conditions. I would like to ask the panel to approve this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Hume. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Now moving on to application number 4. Application number 4 has to do with 6086 Frontier. And Mr. Shipman, are you available? I see you're here, Mr. Shipman, but I don't see you on this application as yet. There you are.
My apologies, Mr. Chair.
No worries. Can you take the oath concerning the sign posting your property?
I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Shipman. Now, we had a little bit of a discussion during the adjournment requests, and to that end, I'd like to just go right to Mr. Gordon and see if he has resolved his issues with the submission of your plans yesterday. Mr. Gordon?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The new plan does resolve planning's minor concerns. I did note one small item that I hope the applicant will be agreeable to in reviewing the report this morning. I just noticed that the severed parcel will have 21 meters of frontage, whereas the AG zone requires 30 meters of frontage. So I would just ask that condition 1 be amended. Condition 1 requires that the applicant seek and obtain a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the the retained agricultural parcel to prohibit residential development. If we could just add in there that the severed parcel be included in that rezoning, and likely a rural exception can just be added to legalize that smaller road frontage.
Mr. Shipman?
Yes, that would be fine. That's typically the way we were handling these situations, so that would be just perfect. Thank you.
Great. So to that end, Mr. Gordon, you don't have any further objections
No further concerns.
other than the on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conditions and 2 ors?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Shipman, do you have any comments about the conditions?
I reviewed the conditions, Mr. Chair. They all seem fine. Condition number 6, I think we can just go to the final or. I confirmed yesterday with the applicant farmer that the barn has yet to be removed. It's in terrible shape. His intention all along has been to remove it. So he will tear that down sort of as part of clearing conditions. There is no intention to keep the barn there. It's going to be torn down. So if you'd like, you can just reduce condition 6 to the final or.
Thank you very much. So to that end, with the requested and agreed to change to condition number 1 and yes.
I believe there was a comment regarding the sewage system on this site from the Ottawa Septic System Office, and I just would like to hear from Mr. Shipman what, just a response to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, there's a condition in here, I believe, condition 3 should cover off that concern to the satisfaction of planning department that the existing septic does not cross the line, that type of thing.
Ms. Chandler?
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments from panel? Mr. Vervoort?
No comments or concerns. Thank you.
Mr. Otto?
I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Thanks.
Great. So I'd like to ask for approval of this application with the changes agreed to condition number 1 and to condition number 6, which will encapsulate the final or, which reads owner demonstrates that the existing barn has been demolished. So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Shipman. Thank you. Now moving on to applications 5 and 6, we'll deal with each one independently. Application number 5 has to do with 3903 Etienne Road. And I'd like to ask if Mr. Ivan Matthews is available. I see Kathy Matthews, you're muted, man. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Matthews. I would like to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on your property. Can you take that oath today?
Yes, I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing, as instructed, and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear. Thank
you very much. Now, I note here that planning does not have any further objections, nor does our conservation partners. There are 4 conditions to this application being approved. Are you aware of those conditions, Mr. Matthews?
Yes, we are.
And do you agree with them?
Yes, we do.
So to that end, I'd like to ask panel if they've got any questions or comments. Ms. Chandler?
None.
Mr. Lewis?
Fine with the applications.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Mr. Vervoort?
No, I'm fine, and I'm assuming planning doesn't have any comments or concerns as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So on application number 5, I'd like to ask for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Application number 5 is approved, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you.
Now moving on to application number 6, having to do with 3855 Etienne Road. Similarly, Planning and Conservation Authority do not seem to have any concerns. There are 5 conditions to this application. Are you aware of these conditions, Mr. Matthews?
Yes, we are.
Do you agree with them?
Yes, we do.
Great, thank you very much. And to that end, I'd like to ask panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering if you have to administer the oath on this one as well.
I should probably do that. Thank you very much, Mr. Revort. Mr. Matthews, I have to ask you to take the oath once more on this property. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear.
To that end, again, I'd like to ask I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. Please raise your hands if you agree. Your application is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews.
Thank you.
Now moving on to application number 7. This is having to do with 7615 Soldiers Line Road. And this is Mr. Shipman once more. Mr. Shipman, are you available?
I am here, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Good morning once again. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I do. Thank you.
I note once again that planning and conservation partners do not have any concerns about this application. I note that there are 5 conditions. Mr. Shipman, are you aware of these conditions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I am. And we have no concerns with the conditions as proposed.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask planning if they have any further comments to make. Mr. Gordon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, no further comments. The applicant provided materials that resolved our previous concerns.
Thank you very much. And I don't believe we have a representative for Conservation Authority, so they don't have any further comments. So to that end, I'd like to ask our panel if they approve of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
did we take the oath for this one?
Yes, we did.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thanks for the reminder. Once again, panel, do you approve of this application? Please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Shipman. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good day.
Good day. Now we're moving on to application number 8, having to do with 6470 Dwyer Hill Road. Rod Price, are you available?
Chair, members of the committee, Rod Price on behalf of the owner.
Good morning, Mr. Price. Are you able to take the oath concerning the signposting this morning?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I note again that planning and conservation partners do not have any concerns with respect to this property. And I note that there are 2 conditions for approval. Do you agree with these conditions, Mr. Price?
No, I do not, Mr. Chair. If you may recall, this application was adjourned from 2 meetings ago with respect to the city staff's position with respect to the taking of road widening, particularly with this property as it being a lot line adjustment or a lot addition to an existing lot, which was very small. The city has indicated in the report that, legally they believe they have the right to take road widenings along both frontages, which add up to over a kilometer, close to a kilometer and a half of extra road widening. And we, if you'll recall at the last meeting, we had that discussion both with myself and members of committee and some back and forth, spoke to the owner, and we are not in agreement with that condition whatsoever.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Gordon, do you have any comments to make with respect to that condition?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the city's position is that we're within our means to request that on both the severed and retained under the new official plan. We have direction to seek road widening on severed and retained parcels during any development application, which includes lot line adjustment. So it may be something that the city would possibly appeal if it's removed.
Okay, Mr. Price.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Respectfully, in terms of the official plan that's been passed, that official plan has not been approved by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I understand staff's position that it is adopted by council, but it is not completely approved at this time. And we're of the opinion that that road widening is excessive. I mean, just in extra surveying costs to the owner to transfer a piece of property from his farm to his daughter is going to be close to $15,000 just an extra surveying fee, which is crazy. I understand if you're severing a couple of lots, then I still am of the opinion that it's excessive and not entirely legal. But for a small lot addition to a family member, we would respectfully request that condition be removed by committee.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Mr. Gordon.
I think given the context and that the new official plan is not fully approved, we do have some. I would say that we could possibly remove it from the retained lands in this context.
Would that work, Mr. Price?
From the retained lands, absolutely. Yeah, we're more than happy to provide that road widening for the small portion. The lot addition is being severed. 100% agree with that. But on the retained lands, again, not to sound like I'm whining, but it's over a kilometer long. That's a pretty significant stretch of land to convey to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Price. I think that's a reasonable compromise, Mr. Gordon. That's appreciated. Mr. Lewis, do you have any comments on this issue?
No, I support the lot line adjustment as amended.
Thank you. Mr. Otto.
Support it as amended with that condition removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vervoort.
Same for me, thank you.
Ms. Chandler.
I have no concerns or comments.
Thank you. I'd like to ask panel for approval of this application with the removal of the road widening against the retained parcel. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Price. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
And now moving on to application number 9. Application number 9 has been adjourned. And application number 10 is going to be put at the end of the hearing today. And on to application number 11. Number 11 is having to do with 6341 Nick Adams Road. Michelle Perry, are you available? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Perry.
No, say Mr. Rayner.
It's Mr. Rayner.
Hi, Mr. Rayner, you're the owner of the property.
Yes, I am.
I need to administer an oath concerning the sign posting on the property. Can you take that oath today?
Yes, I do. I will.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing, as instructed, and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I swear that I've done that, yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I am looking for Ms. Perry. Are you available, ma'am?
No.
Okay, just you, Mr. Reyna. That's great. So we have no concerns from the Planning Department or from the Conservation Authority. There are 6 conditions associated with this application. Are you aware of those 6 conditions and do you agree with them, sir?
Yes, I am aware and I do agree with them.
Thank you, sir. We do have one member of the public that would like to speak on this issue, and I believe he's here now. Mr. Nimi, you're muted, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm the director of a private company. We developed the Nick Adams extension. We have a subdivision we just completed the subdivision of 18 lots on Nick Adams. We spent over $1 million on developing the extension on the Nick Adams Road. And the suggested lots will be using that road that we just finished developing, and the city is still holding a few $100,000 as a deposit for the completion of the development of that road. I do not know if this is the right venue to discuss compensation for the development of that road from a land that will be using the road.
We have a very limited scope, Mr. Nemi. We deal with the applications for variances and consent to sever. So we don't really have any jurisdiction to provide you with any compensation or discussion about compensation. Maybe Mr. Gordon can help you on that. Mr. Gordon, do you know where he would need to direct his, Mr. Harrigan.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, they would have to have that conversation with the planning department outside of that. I do not believe there's any compensation that could be granted for that. The road improvements were required for the subdivision to be constructed, but it is a public municipal road and a public right-of-way allowance, so it does allow residents to use that road for it. The road has been complete to the point where building permits can be issued, so it is within the bylaw regulations that this development would be permitted based on the extension that has been completed. But as of right now, there's no compensation that can be granted. That the road extension was required for the subdivision, and the neighbors of the subdivision, they do benefit from that, but we can't ask or require compensation for that.
Does that answer your question, sir?
It does. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application with all 6 conditions. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Reyna.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now on to application number 12. This application has to do with 3420 Baskins Beach. And I'm looking for Mr. Mark Hartley. Are you available, sir? Good morning.
Yes.
I need to administer an oath concerning the sign posting, sir. Can you take that oath today?
Yes, I can.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time. Do you swear?
I do, yes.
Well, I note again that we don't have any concerns from planning, nor do we have concerns from the conservation partners. There is one condition. Are you aware of that condition, sir?
Yes, we are.
And do you agree with that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'd like to ask planning if they have any further comments to make on this application.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. The planning department would just note for the applicant's benefit that the the area of disturbance that's occurring within the watercourse setback is exceptionally thin soils, under about a foot right now, which is prone to a lot of erosion. So this planting plan that we've requested as a condition will help protect a lot of that erosion, because once the soil is gone, could be potentially impossible to get that back. And then you do have exposed bedrock in the backyard. So this is something worth protecting over the long course, and this planting plan would work within that. We have had extensive conversations with Mr. Hartley, and we do appreciate his cooperation with trying to protect the soil there.
Thank you, Mr. Harrigan. Do our conservation partners have any comments to make with respect to this application? Silence speaks volumes. Thank you very much. I'd now like to ask panel if they've got any questions or comments. Ms. Chandler.
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis.
No, I support the application.
Thank you. Mr. Otto.
I support the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vervoort.
I support the application, but I guess I have a question for planning and how the committee would clear this condition. Because it seems to me to be a bit of a chicken and egg thing as well, right? So they need their building permit, they build, but they need the minor variance to get their building permit. So I'm not sure what the logistics are. And I think that's probably a bit of a concern to the committee, maybe.
So through you, Mr. Chair, we have had this discussion with Mr. Hartley about how to clear this condition. So essentially, after the minor variance is approved, if it should be approved as such, the applicant has already provided us with the site plan, which kind of shows the extent of the maximum disturbance. So we're looking for a alternative site plan, which would be a planting plan, which just shows which vegetation would be disturbed and then which new vegetation would be planted, and we provide the appropriate locally vegetation in accordance with the MVCA. Once they have provided this plan to us and to the MVCA, we can clear the condition. Really, we just want to know after construction has occurred, which vegetation will be planted, primarily along the grade and drainage plan for the maximum erosion protection possible, and the enhancement in line with the official plan. But essentially, once they provide us with a plan that shows which vegetation will be planted after construction, we can clear the condition. So we want to make this fairly straightforward and easy for the applicant to clear, while still ensuring that the official plan is adhered to and we get the maximum erosion protection possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the panel now for approval of this application. With that one condition, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved. Mr. Hartley, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Now moving on to application number 14. Application number 14 has to do with 17 Campbell Reed. And I'd like to ask if Vincent Denome of Claridge Homes is available. Mr. Denome?
I'm here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Are you able to take the oath concerning the sign posting for your property?
I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Domi. I note that planning and our conservation partners do not have any concerns with respect to this application. However, they do request 2 conditions. Are you aware of the conditions, Mr. Denome?
I am.
And do you agree with those conditions?
Yeah, I do.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask planning if they have any further comments to make. Mr. Harrigan?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, the planning department notes that we have no concerns with the revised proposal, which is now a lot line adjustment. So we have no concerns with that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask our conservation partners if they have any additional comments to make. No further comments. So to that end, I'd like to ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Mr. Denome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now we'll move on back to application number 2. Before we excuse Mr. Lewis. Application number 2, I think that's Ms. Zander, but through Ms. Van Horn. Good morning, Ms. Van Horn.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
As your client, I see Tim Dillon is here. I need to get him to be on the line so we can take his oath. Good morning, Mr. Dillon.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I would like to administer an oath concerning the sign posting for your property. Can you take that oath this morning?
I sure can. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
Yes.
You swear?
I swear.
All right, so we don't have any concerns from planning, nor do we have any concerns from the conservation partners. However, we do have 4 conditions concerning the lot line, concerning this application. Are you aware of these conditions, Ms. Van Horn?
Yes.
Do you agree with these conditions?
Yeah, they are fairly standard. We don't have any concerns.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask planning, Mr. Stephen Kikonen, can you make any further comments, or do you need to make any further comments concerning this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I believe that planning does not have any further comments. Our conditions are good, and we would need a letter of undertaking if there are no services on the lands being exchanged. But so for the site plan update, sorry, my apologies.
Okay, take your time. You agree with that, Ms. Van Horn?
Yeah, so there is a existing well on the lands to be severed, and we acknowledge that as part of the condition. This well will have to be reinstalled on the retained lands, and this we reflected in the site plan agreement. As well, the site plan agreement will be amended to acknowledge this lot line adjustment.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to ask the committee, panel, if they approve of this application with all 4 conditions. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved, Ms. Van Horn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to application number 10, and we'll excuse Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I think there was a chat, somebody that wanted to speak to item number 14. I think there's a message in the chat function.
Yes, I do see it now. Didn't see it before. Is Mr. Gallagher there? You're muted, Mr. Gallagher. Good morning, Mr. Gallagher.
Good morning.
You wanted to speak to the previous application having to do with
Yes, I
17
did.
Campbell Reed?
I'm the property owner beside that, actually for 15 Campbell Reed Court. I just wanted to make a statement that I don't have any problem with this severance. The only thing that I would ask is that whenever they do decide to develop this piece of property, that they don't come and push me out of what I'm doing in my business until they are ready to bring heavy equipment in and actually start to develop this land. It's just been my experience over the years that a lot of this has happened, and people have been forced to vacate what they've been doing, and then nothing happens for 10 to 20 years. I'm 73 years old. I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue to run the business I'm running. Part of it's rented to somebody else, and I just basically asking that they're going to do something, that they don't bother me until they're actually ready to do something.
Okay, duly noted, sir. I'm not sure what the committee can do to try and help with that.
Okay.
Good neighbors, usually talk to one another quite a bit, and maybe just a little conversation with your neighbor and asking him to do just what you're requesting may be helpful. Mr. Harrigan, do you have any comments?
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. Just for the member of the public's information, you may not be aware that the severance application is no longer proposed. So there is no development proposed. It's simply a lot line adjustment. So there's no new dwellings being created. They are just shifting the lot line from the majority of 17 Campbell Reed Court will be conveyed to the adjacent property. So no new dwellings should be constructed as a result of this lot line adjustment.
Does that help, Mr. Gallagher?
Yes, that's really what I was concerned about. I know that there's a lot of development going on close to St. Isidore's Church. It's going to be inevitable that there's going to be construction in there. It's only an idiot would realize that that's not going to happen. But it's just like I say, I just like to be kept informed and just kind of be left alone until I leave this earth.
Okay.
But, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Apologize missing you earlier. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, Mr. Lewis, I think, or Madam.
I think we all want that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Madam Coordinator, can you confirm that we've resolved all applications other than application number 10?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Number 10 is the last one.
Thank you very much. So to that end, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Lewis, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. And number 10. There we go. Number 10 has to do with 8921 Malak Road. Is it Malak or Malash? And Mr. Price is representing this group. Mr. Price?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Price.
Rod Price on behalf of the owner of 8921. I think it's Malak Lane, but
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure either. So,
okay, thank you. I'll administer the oath, then I'll have a couple of comments to make about the changes that you made. Can you take the oath today?
Yes, I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time? Do you swear?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can swear, and I think it's important, I can swear that signs were posted both along the Malak Lane frontage of this property, which is a through lane, as well as McClinton Road.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, administratively, we note there's been several changes, substantial ones to the application.
Yes.
And I wanted to have a discussion with panel to see if they believe that this application should be recirculated as a result. It's important that the public are fully aware of changes. And to that end, I'd like to start with Mr. Vervoort and ask his comments with respect to the changes to this application. And do you believe it should be recirculated? Mr. Vervoort.
Well, typically, I think we try and avoid that, but in this case, there's substantial changes to the lot dimensions, and the lots are on a totally different road. We don't have the municipal addresses for those proposed lots on McClinton either. So reluctantly, I think we have to recirculate because it is a very substantial change in this case.
Thank you. You want to comment, Mr. Price?
Just to assist and respectfully, yeah, we understand that there were some significant changes to the original application. Just for a little bit of background context, if you recall, this was before committee a couple of meetings ago. Staff had recommended, based on the findings of the EIS and some discussions between our natural heritage consultant and the cities, that there were some issues down on the proposed Malak Lane lots with Landing's turtles. So we took station in terms of locating the new lots along the Clinton. during that time, we did also reach out to the abutting neighbors. There should be correspondence that I forwarded to the committee coordinator with them being supportive. And the little lot that you see in between the two proposed severances on McClinton Road is the owner's daughter, and obviously is supportive of the application. So, you know, I'm not trying to sway committee. I understand the importance of the public consultation and engagement, but just for a little bit more background context, we did reach out. Signs were posted on that frontage with no comments. So I will leave that with committee.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mr. Otto, do you have any comments concerning recirculation?
Well, I agree with Mr. Vervoort, but I also disagree. I think that if there's any way we could waive this condition to recirculate, I think that would be appropriate in this particular case.
Okay. Ms. Chandler?
I'm afraid I agree with Mr. Vervoort. It's not the same application that was circulated previously in its reconfigured form and different road frontage.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with both Ms. Chandler and Mr. Vervoort that this application should be recirculated. The public needs to be fully informed. And in this case, I don't think they are. So I would like to ask the panel then to approve that this application be recirculated and then appear in due course back to the committee.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to be clear on my comments too. Like, I believe what Mr. Price has said, and I think people are informed, but I think the legislation requires the recirculation.
Thank you, Mr. Vervoort. Yes, Mr. Price.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe if one of the committee coordinators could just jump in terms of process and next steps for me. Is it just something they're going to mail out and throw up a couple more signs, or how best served to notify the neighbors? What I'm trying to do is avoid a recirculation fee. So we've already, you know what I'm saying?
Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To answer the question, I'm not sure that there is a way to avoid a fee if a recirculation is required. As the committee is cost recovery, there is a council approved fee for that.
Okay.
It's a $662 fee, and as soon as we get that payment, we would schedule for the nearest possible hearing date.
Okay. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you. So to that end, your application needs to be recirculated, Mr. Price, and we will see you back here in due course.
Understood. Thank you,
very
Mr. Chair.
much.
Members, have a great day.
Thank you. I believe that's the end of our day today. Thank you very much, everyone, for your help, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks. Bye for now.
Mr. Chair, we didn't vote on that yet, did we?
I can take another vote if you'd like, but yes, we'll vote for that. We did. Mr. Vervoort, Ms. Chandler, and I voted in favor of recirculation, but we can ask again. All those in favor of recirculation, please raise your hands. All those opposed? There you go. Thank you very much, Mr. Otto. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.